All right, man. Welcome to the 290 Mo podcast. I appreciate your time. If you could introduce yourself and my viewers and listeners.
This is Brian Stinson, one half of Fusion Radio, Fridays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Chicago 77.3 app. And Saturdays, 15 years in the game on that station, WIIT 88.9 FM. The other half is my homie, man, YTS Keys, man. Definitely got to shout him out.
For sure, man. And I have to say, man, you sound like I was just listening to the radio right now, man. You got that to be a radio. I just had a guest last night who was talking about like radio and podcasts, and I was like, man, radio, you just gotta have that voice. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have that voice. Is that something that you had to learn, or is it was a natural?
Well, I think it's just me. Did I have training? Yes. Columbia College Chicago is my alma mater, man. Celebrated
Mm,
this year back in May, man. 20 years. It's hard to believe that 20 years ago I graduated from there and everything. And so, did I take classes? Yes. But am I myself? Yes. Same
mm.
person you get on the radio is the same person you get off.
So that's dope, man. So before we get any further, man, I can't go any further, man, without giving you your flowers, man. I done had a plethora of guests come through here, and then like, I always ask like, how you hear about the podcast? You know what I'm saying? Maybe like, man, Brian sent me through. You know what I'm saying? Brian sent me through. Brian Stinson. I was like, man, that's why I said it's long overdue, man, because you've done so much for me and my platform, man, and I've never met you. You know what I'm saying? So I got to give you your flowers, man. I appreciate that, and not only that, you know what I'm saying, talking to other artists that like, yeah, man, he do the same thing you do. He give a platform, you know what I'm saying, to everybody, man. So I had to give you your flowers before we went any further, man. So appreciate that.
Man, no doubt, man. I want to shout you out, man. Like, seriously, man, what you've been doing in a short time, man, like, is a lot for the culture, man. So, salute to you and the 290 Mo podcast. And the reason why I tell people about you and so many other people is because, man, to give them that big encouragement that, man, look, there are great people out here that have great platforms that want to talk with you, that want to showcase what you do. And so, man, salute out to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. So, with my platform, what I like to do, man, I like to get as much as the full story as I can, man. I want your fans, you know what I'm saying, people who fans of Fusion Radio, I want them to be able to come here and get to know you a little bit, man. So, if you don't mind, where you from, where you grew up?
Man, from Chicago, man, Chicago's West Side, first 10 years on the West Side, and then moved actually to the South suburbs, man, Harvey, Illinois.
Mm,
And to give you guys a quick like story as to how like this radio thing even started, man. Like I went to high school with Lupe Fiasco, Willie
oh
Taylor
wow.
from Day 26. And it was seeing their talent, man, that made me want to do something to showcase that talent.
Mhm.
So at that time, man, Harvey, the school Thornton and Harvey, man, offered electives. One of the electives was radio. And so I took radio, man, just playing around with it, just goofing around. Thought I was going to be a teacher, teaching gym or doing something like that. Never in my wildest dreams thought I would be doing radio. And the instructor said, man, you ever thought about, doing radio, and everything? I was like, really? And so there was a program at Columbia College Chicago that was the High School Institute. And what was that simply is you could actually explore your major before you came there if you decide to come there. And so took radio broadcasting 101 my junior year of high school, and then came back my senior year and decided to take sportscasting. And man, like really got bit by the bug. Phenomenal experience at Columbia College Chicago. And so I decided to enroll in the fall of 1998. Was on the school station, man, like my first semester, man. And that's like unheard of, especially now.
Mhm.
You don't get on a station now until your junior year. So
Mhm.
to be on, they had a regular format from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. was dance, house, and techno. Did I know anything about it? No, I was a hip hop dude.
Mm-hmm.
But I quickly grew an audience in a slot I was on from 3 to 7 in the afternoons on Mondays. And I was brutally honest with the audience. Like, did not know the music, but we were going to grow together. And I did some no-nos that you're not supposed to do on radio. What do you mean by no-nos, Brian? Um, you're not supposed to, when there's instrumentation in the songs, make up your own song live on the air. You're not supposed to do that. And I was doing that live on the air. So I would hear different songs, and I was like, this sound like this would go with that.
Mm-hmm.
And making up my own song live on the air.
Mm.
And so people would be laughing, and I called it creative energy. People would be laughing. It was like, this is different. I know he ain't supposed to be doing it, but this is different, and I like it. And I would hear my general manager at that time, God rest his soul, he passed away back in 2018. I would hear him laughing. He was like, you ain't supposed to be doing that. But he said, that's some good radio right there. And so from there, as far as Columbia, man, hosted a reggae show, which Columbia's radio station didn't have that for a while. And then the opportunity came for me to take over Wednesday nights with someone that, man, has went on to have a tremendous career and trade a chocolate job. And so I took over Wednesday nights, and I'm going to be honest with you. I knew I wasn't going to win over all of his lists because I was different. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to play the new up and coming cuts that weren't mainstream yet. And I knew he had a mainstream audience. I mean, he went on to work for WGCI, Power 92. He's now in West Palm Beach, Florida, as the assistant brand manager for X1023, which is an urban adult station and everything. So, man, he's went on to do a lot of great things, man. And just going back to me, man, I just had to be me. So it's like I remember playing Nelly's song, "I'm Going Down, Down, Baby." I
Country
remember
grammar.
playing that. Yeah, I remember playing that before it really blew up. And people's like, man, this ain't gonna blow up. And I'm like, I was that dude. I was
Mm-hmm.
that dude that wanted to break records.
Mm-hmm. So
And it was like we were playing new music every week.
mm-hmm.
No, go ahead.
So I wanna ask you, because right now we live in a social media age era. You know what I'm saying, where you can get the new music like that. You know what I'm saying. But back then, like you said, you was playing country grammar before anybody else listening to it, and it's the CD days. So how was you finding like the latest scoop, getting the latest music, and or just doing research on music, like you said, with genres that you weren't even familiar with? Like, how was you getting research or resources to get familiar with these things?
So I had a couple of different things. Is number one is the radio station, of course, received music for the shows that play hip hop. So I would go in the music director room and listen to a lot of new music, and be like, yeah, man, I think this is hot. Do the music research and all that stuff from the standpoint of talking with other people. Many a times, other people was like, man, they ain't playing it yet, and I was just like, man, come on, man, get with me. This gonna be a hit.
Mm-hmm.
I also had a really good friend, man, that man, he had connects with different people and everything. So I would take a listen to the different stuff that he had too.
Mm-hmm. Doing radio is there. I was talking to a fellow radio host last night, and his name's Black T Bibbs, and we was talking about guests that you might not necessarily who might not necessarily be good guests. Is there a such thing as a bad guest, and if there is, how do you handle that?
I think for more or less for me, it's more or less their experience. In the time that I've been doing a radio show, I've recognized that people have had some bad experiences. So when they've had bad experiences, of course, they bring their bad experiences to you.
Mhm.
And they're concerned about the radio process. How is it going to go? What are you going to ask me and all this stuff? And I believe that when you make it comfortable for them and, let them know, man, I'm sorry that you had that bad experience with that person, but that's not what we're doing here.
Mhm.
This is to present you in a most positive light. And, I have a lot of people that they either go through PR firms, they either have booked interviews themselves, and they haven't went the way that they thought that they should go. And if it didn't go right with Fusion, they didn't want to do no more interviews.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned, you know what I'm saying, the stops that you took and made to get here. What exactly is Fusion Radio? What is the mission? And if you could, if it's not too much of a compound question, just expand on the relationship with your co-host, YTS Keys.
So with Fusion is before Fusion, one part that I did leave out was that at one point in time, I actually brokered my own radio show. And a lot of people don't know what that means. What does that mean
No
is
idea.
that you sign a leasing agreement with a company to for X amount of time, whether that be 2 hours, 4 hours, over a period of time, whether it be 3 to 6 months. You sign a leasing agreement where you can program the slot that you choose. And so from 2003 to 2005, when I graduated, that's actually what I was doing. And I now work for that company, which is NewsWeb Corporation. And so everything from gathering sponsors, the stuff that a radio station would do, you're all that in one. And the opportunity to do Fusion on WIIT, because the show actually, when it was brokered, wasn't Fusion Radio. It was the Flying B show.
Mm-hmm.
Flying B was my talent name at that time. And you guys know me as Brian Stinson because guess what? All the young people that I interviewed during the years, they could never remember Flying B. They can only remember Brian Stinson. So that's why I made the transformation over to Brian Stinson, which is actually my birthday. People like, man, wait a minute, what? And so Fusion Radio's mission is to provide an outlet for artists, entrepreneurs, podcast hosts, you name it, whoever does what, provide an outlet for you, network you with other people who are doing great things, man, and present you in the most positive light, man. As far as my co-host YTS, man, met him, man, in 2018, and man, like just really saw a lot of promise in him, and never knew all this time until the drop that you dropped and everything, which is true. When you interviewed him, man, that he had aspirations of hosting the show. Never knew that, man. And so, we had guest hosts in the past. I had co-hosts in the past who, one had a really bad health situation where he had to step down. The other one, went into fatherhood. And so, that changed some things. But when Keith came to me in September of 2022 and said, man, he wanted to co-host, I thought he was just talking about, man, a guest co-host role. And, as you guys heard on the club, he was like, no, I really want to be your co-host. And, for us to have never hosted a show together, what people don't know is we don't go over anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly, people think, they're like, man, y'all got really good chemistry. And all that, surely y'all would over something. It's like, nah, that's not the case, man. Like, we just really freestyle it.
Mm-hmm.
The jokes that you hear, the different moments that you hear on the show, like, that is really freestyle. And it's a joy to do the show with him, man, weekly, man. And, he definitely brings a different element to the show, being an artist. There's different things he can connect with the artists on that, I can't connect with them on because I'm not an artist.
Mm-hmm. For sure, man. One thing I gotta say before we move forward too, man, that studio is smoking, man. Like how, like I thought I had a lot of shit on my desk. Like, how do the technical side of everything, is that something that you're interested in and that you're well fluent in, or is that something that you had to learn? Is that something that you got in Colombia? Like that's not a regular, well, not regular, but that's not a type of podcast situation that I'm used to. So if you could, if you can, just talk to me about what we see, you know what I'm saying, when we're watching Fusion Radio and we see the board and the switches and the knobs and the control center, man. If you could just go into that a little bit.
Well, man, like I'm gonna let the cat out the bag. So while the studio has always have the where you can look in and all that stuff,
Mm,
the equipment it took it a while to get there. When I first came and everything, man, I had no idea that the money wasn't going to the radio station. There's a TV department somewhere in one of the buildings that was getting a lot of the money, and there was a
mm,
fight for um, the radio station to get, and they spent a lot of money to just do a makeover. Like that board that people see or whatsoever, like GCI has a very similar board to
mm,
that and everything. And, just the whole makeup, those electro mics. Like I remember when we first started, we only had two mics and I
mm.
had two other co-hosts. So it was just
Arms
like,
just go crazy. I'll be looking just at the arms. I don't even get to the mic yet. And I'm like, boy, them motherfuckers, those some bad arms, those bad mic arms right there, man.
it is, man, because you know what people don't know is when you see the lights on that, that
Mhm,
means that Mike is active and it's live.
mhm,
A lot of people don't know that, and and everything. And I've had countless people ask me, like, man, like, is that available for you to purchase? And I'm like, yeah, there's a store that they have called Broadcast Supply, where if you do a Google search for it, then you'll see the prices of what the stuff costs. But that board, I'm gonna tell you right now, is minimum $6,000.
mhm. I'm not surprised. That's one thing. Like one day you gonna have to come for a studio tour. I'm gonna do one. And I'm gonna post it online and everything. But I definitely, you know, what I'm saying I started because I don't have any background in none of this. And that's leads to my next question. But before we get there, I don't
Mm-hmm.
have no background in this, so literally everything that I bought, I had to rebuy. So I just go on Instagram, Amazon, be like, I need a camera. The first camera to pop up is $100. It do 4K water bop. That's not even I had to
Mm-hmm.
do research. End up we really need $1,000 camera. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't definitely had to do trial and error. But what I want to ask you, I recently had a guest, a few guests who are students and previous students of Illinois Media School. In this age of social media and everything being so quick, instant at your hand, iPhone, you can shoot a movie with an iPhone. Do you think um, to be a part of media, you have to attend media school?
I would say that in the case of Illinois Media School, I would say that they put you in a great position because for the person that doesn't want to quote unquote take on the general studies, you just want to do your major.
Mm-hmm.
In 8 months, you can graduate from there.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the experience of being downtown where when you do your internship or whatsoever, the school is downtown. Like I remember when that school first started off, there wasn't a downtown campus. You had to go all the way to Lombard,
Mm-hmm.
but yet your internships most likely were in the heart of downtown. So you know what I'm saying? Of course, when I say internships, I'm talking about the GCIs. I even go sports oriented because I'm a huge sports fan. ESPN 1000, the score. You have to be downtown and everything to do that. So I would say, like, what you're paying for is not just only the knowledge, but you're paying for, of course, the connections with the instructors, which in most cases are currently involved or used to be involved in a field that you want to attend.
Mm-hmm. And that was a common thing. A couple of the students were saying. Out of like three, one was like, you don't need the other two. Was like they made connections that they, you know, what I'm saying that they think is invaluable. You know, what I'm saying. So, um, and I don't believe your co-host had any background. So did you feel like you had to like coach them, teach them? But you said it was pretty natural as far as you guys as the chemistry. But as far as did you have to teach him like how to use a mic, how to use the boards and stuff like that, or did he pretty much just come and sit in his chair, do his part?
What I said to him honestly is I want him to be him. Different things that come to him that we should talk about with the guests is to do that. Now, the one thing that we did talk about is that neither one of us want to be talking over each other. So we do have hand signals or whether it be head signals. So we're not talking over each other and all that stuff. As far as the board, I'm gradually working him towards that. He hasn't ran a board yet, but I am gradually working him towards that. I didn't want to hit him with a lot and everything, and so week by week, there's different things I'll have him to introduce us may have and then come back and maybe restart the conversation. There actually are times, you probably gonna laugh at this, y'all don't know this, but there are times where the guests show up at the station and they don't know how to get into the station. So Keith is actually helping to keep the seat warm while I'm running out to the parking lot to get the next guest.
Mm-hmm.
And so some people don't know that.
Is it that difficult? Is it a
I don't
entrance? Is it a maze or something?
I don't think it's that difficult. I just think it's just that, it's the interview. They're a little nervous. And so, when you say to them, the sidewalk that you just passed before, I said before you get to 31st and State, there's a parking lot. You just passed the sidewalk. Just, you park, walk up that sidewalk. The building's there, walk through the double set of doors, make a right, walk down. And
Because
when you
they
walk
studio bad, y'all. They got glass walls, man. You can't miss them.
right. And so I think it's that. And so I've just got into the habit of just when you arrive, just message us on IG or message us on, some people do message on Facebook, just message us and I'll come out there in most
Exact
cases
same
and come
thing I
get you.
do. Yep. I have people in the back down the street. When you pulling up, let me know. So interviewing guests, man, do you do any type of background in I don't know how familiar you are with like entertainers having what they say in interviews used against them in prosecutions and stuff like that. So when you're interviewing anybody, because you interview other people other than recording artists, is anything off limits, or do you do research to see what they got currently going on so you know like where to ask, what not to ask, or is it just or do you have like a list of questions that you hit every time we have a guest?
As far as the answer to that, I would say definitely do research. Both of us definitely do research. When it comes to like stuff that might be controversial, we try to stay away from that only because number one is that's just not me or Keith's feel. Like some people wonder why don't we do more of that. My thing is most cases when the artists are coming in, like I said, going back to the nervous thing, there's a little bit of nervousness, and we don't want to bring out something that makes them go against the interview process. So we try to, while we may do our research, we may come across something or whatsoever, is try to stick in the realm of their artistry and what they do.
Mm-hmm. If you could, man, tell me about the worst interview you've had on Fusion Radio.
The worst interview I had, but I'm gonna laugh about it. We're gonna laugh about this together.
Got to, man.
Is I interviewed an artist, and while he was very young and everything, is when we were talking and all that stuff, he was sort of one word answers. He wasn't elaborating really into his artistry. And it was interesting for me because he writes a lot of stuff on social media. So I really thought this was going to be a phenomenal interview because he expresses how he feels like he slept on at his young age. I believe he's 11 now. And he's 11 in age, but when you really talk to him, I guess because of what he's around, you feel like you're talking to a 21-year-old. Like seriously, because of some of his life experiences and everything. And so I really thought the interview was going to be something else, and it didn't live up. And the most comfortable he felt was when he got into a roast fest about me. That's the most comfortable he
Oh
felt.
yeah, I was roasted.
He started to roast me because I started to reminisce about when I was younger and everything. And he was like, "Well, stuff like that don't happen today." Let's and it was, I took it all in fun. I mean, some people might have been mad and been like, "Man," but I took it all in fun and everything. And that was the most comfortable. But you know what? He was cool with the interview.
Mhm.
Now, you know, other people was just like, it was sort of weird dynamic. Guy on social media to tell people like, look, y'all don't understand. This guy really does support me and everything. And, bottom line, what I'm saying, oh, what's up? We were just having fun during the interview. Like,
Right.
what's up? So,
Yeah, that's what a lot of times you said roasting, not talking about you. So, you know what I'm saying, roasting something, it's gonna be all good fun and games. And a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, it's perception, it's how you take it, you know what I'm saying? It's how you could take a joke, you know what I'm saying? You could take it seriously,
right.
or you could you can go back, you know what I'm saying? So when what's so I asked you about your worst interview. What's been your favorite interview to date? Why?
Man, I definitely would have to say, like, and this is going back, this is early L Hitter,
Mm-hmm.
is when I interviewed him for the first time and the emotions that were going through the studio. And this is like when we're talking about the All Year record being out and everything, is the emotions for me to have never connected with him prior to that interview and to have the emotion, that was definitely a memorable interview.
Mm-hmm.
And to see where his career has went, I know some people think that he sort of fell off and they sort of wonder, but he absolutely is out there working, doing concerts, and salute to him and his movement.
Mm-hmm. For sure, for sure. What's the goal, if you don't mind me asking? Why do you get up, you know what I'm saying, make Fusion Radio happen? Why you bring YTS aboard, you know what I'm saying, teaching him the game? What's the purpose? Why do you do this? Why do you give a platform to artists? Why ain't you charging them $300 an interview? What's the purpose?
Purpose of Fusion Radio is training ground. So what do I mean by training ground is to prepare the YTSs, to prepare all the guests that we have, man, for the major platforms. I've taken that on is man, is I want you to be able to cross your T's and dot your I's in a shorter amount of time. Now, while we do 20 minutes, um, 30 minutes. We've even done hour interviews or what's up. Yes, face it, when you're on a GCI, you may only get 5 minutes. So how do you in that 5 minutes make that 5 minutes where something great comes out of that? And so that's the purpose, man. And it's been a purpose for 15 years, man, is to just like really provide awesome interviews. Because the one thing I can say is with the interviews, and we don't necessarily know, quote unquote, what direction we're gonna go. Me and Keys don't know. When I was solo, I didn't know, what I'm saying? Because I don't know what the person may say that I may say I want to build on. And so it's absolutely that. And to just like bring you further in is to get the love that we get outside of Chicago. Man, it's so many interviews that I've done virtually with artists outside of Chicago. Just did an interview the other day with an artist out of the DMV by the name of Black Rothstein that
Mm-hmm.
will actually air on our last show December 9th for 2023 before we go on holiday vacation. And so, to talk with him and, what you guys, I guess, sometimes don't hear or see, those of you that's watching on the line, is that, man, some of these artists be about ready to give up on their career. And it's the positive energy that me and Keith gives that keeps them going with what they want to do.
For sure. Man, so I've heard that a lot of times, you know what I'm saying? Because I always that's the question I always ask. I always ask people, do you get discouraged, man? So I can definitely see that, and that's why I like to not charge people because I'd be like, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying, not interview the next big thing, the next Chief Keef because he don't got $100 right now. You know what I'm saying? So and I want to say something too. You was like you preparing people for the mainstream, but I don't know if you notice it, man. You becoming mainstream. You becoming mainstream, man. Yeah, I'm telling you, I don't know if y'all thinking about expanding or anything, but every time I get online, the presence is there. Like I said, there's no other Fusion Radio and Brian Stinson and YTS get talked up here just as much as the 290 More podcast because so many people have came through here, you know what I'm saying, off the whims of what y'all got going on. That's truly an honor, man. Before I get you up out of here, man, is there anything that you got like any like passion projects, like any type of other shows you we want to do, or is this just fusion to the world blow?
Oh man, Fusion keeps me so busy, man. While we talk about the live and studio interviews, the Friday station, let me talk a little bit about it, was supposed to be based here. So we're on a whole nother deal on Friday where that's strictly digital. It's not over the air. So um that station, whatsoever, we want to provide fresh content for it because it does bear our city name and our city's area code in Chicago 77.3. And so we try to, not because it's just digital, have a lesser approach, but between the two shows, honestly, and what I failed to mention, because I wanted to stay on topic with Fusion, is that I actually work for two radio companies outside of Fusion. So I am like really busy. The going through the music submissions and the scheduling of the interviews, the editing of the interviews, and then I work overnights Monday through Friday for a company that mainly it's gospel, but we offer a variety of programming. Clients pay for airtime. And then I work for another company where it's a lot of different languages. It's let me preference, I don't speak any of these languages. I'm about to I'm
We
about to
gonna get
mention
all type of guests coming from this interview.
Serbian. I work with Serbian clients, Croatian, Russian, Spanish. All
Mhm.
type of deals. And so, with the combination of working 7 days a week and doing fusion, and what people don't even understand it, and not that this would change my whole deal with Fusion, but people think that me and Keith actually get paid for that. That that's a job. We have to
Mhm.
remind them, no, man. Like Fusion is voluntarily.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And as far as the payment, going back to the payment thing, is the honest truth as to the reason what the charging thing is because we're on an educational platform. So that's something that we honestly cannot do. Now for the 773, could we do that? Yes. But I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag. This is what me and Keith has honestly been dealing with. You know how you see the studio and you like what you see, what 88.9 is? We get more people that get up for being live in the studio on the college slash community station than we really do with the digital station. And so that's the fight that we have. Do we want to expand and we want to do a lot more? Yes. But everybody is requesting that they want to be on that to the point where, like right now, as I'm talking to you right now, we're almost booked all the way up until March of 2024
Mhm.
right now. And it's like, we've tried to do a lot of virtual stuff with the other station, and it's really been a snag, man. People want the FM still carries a whole big weight, and there's a lot of people that, like I said, they're more interested in that. And so Keith has honestly been advocating for us to get another day on 88.9. The thing is that with it being a college station, of course, it looks bad for us to be on 2 days a week and we're community DJs versus them having more college involvement because there's a lot of slots that are open and everything that they're trying to get student involvement. We've actually had people that have come by during our show that, man, wanted to be involved. And then they asked, well, who would be training me? And I was like, be trained by a student. Well, why is it I can't get trained by you? And it's like, I'm not authorized to train. And I'm like, authorized? What do you mean? And I'm like, I'm a community DJ. They give 10% to community DJs. And so that's been the deal is we've been doing different things, testing different things as far as digital. Because I don't have a problem with it. Honest man has been the whole point behind it. It was there anything else you wanted to build on, man? You got some bonus questions for me.
What I want to know is you mentioned, what I'm saying, when you first got in the game, what I'm saying, you had to in a way become a student of the music, what I'm saying, learning other music, other genres and stuff like that. Is it any type of music that you don't play or don't listen to?
I would say that I don't know that I listen to country. I don't know that I really listen to country, alternative music, like as far as rock music. I guess I could say at work when we don't have clients on and we're playing a variety of music, that's when I get that exposure with that. But I don't know that I listen to any one of them genres.
Okay. Have you ever had a guest whose music that you just honestly in your heart was like, it's just, even though, what I'm saying, especially I don't understand, music is highly subjective. I'll probably say shit you will never listen to, but have you ever had a guest when you was like, this just ain't it? And how do you handle that?
Yeah. More than people would ever think.
Oh, I know.
You know what is, I think what keeps me, I guess, calm, is that I think about it, is this is the art that they created. And so, who am I to say that, hey, this is not what it is? You know what I mean? It was sort of like, for all I could know is they could leave here and man, look, a month or two from now, it'd be one of the top records that's buzzing.
For sure.
And so just trying to have a open objective when it comes down to that, and understanding that everyone does have, for most part, an audience.
What are you listening to as far as radio, in your car, at the gym? What are you listening to? And if there's not too much of a compound question, if you could put together your Mount Rushmore of people who do what you do, like radio personality, DJs.
Oh man, that's a long list. I'm just gonna tell you right now. That really is. And I say
we
that
do top 10.
I say that because, man, there's a lot of great people out here. Like, it's funny that you asked me about listening. I listen to a different market, meaning a different city every day.
Oh, word?
Yes, I do, man. Like, I can rattle off names. So, okay, top market. When you talk about the top market as far as New York, uh, there's Jonesy, who back in the day used to be on Hot 97. There's a new throwback station there called The Block that she does a phenomenal job in the mornings. Of course, you have the Breakfast Club. That's the hub from where they're from. You have Ebro in the morning. That's where he is from and everything. And so that's just New York. If you go to Los Angeles, Big Boy is a major stay in Los Angeles.
Iconic.
And so you look at what he brings to the table. If you look at our market, man, and everything is you have from a local standpoint, Leon Rogers, who has been in radio, man, for 2 decades, man. He just did an interview recently. You think about the Tone Capones and what they've done. My brother, man, who I'm so proud that he, is starting a new chapter in Hot Rod. He'll be, on GCI on the weekends now. He made the switch from Power 92 to GCI. You have him, you have Ferris and what he's done, in Chicago. Nathis, I mean, it's a long list for Chicago. Joe Soto on V103, Crazy Howard. I mean, I could keep going on. Let me name some females, man, because I feel like this is male
For
based.
sure.
I
Shout out
did
to the
name
lady.
Jonesy,
For sure.
but let me name some females. Like as far as here in Chicago, man, definitely salute out to Beyonce Fox, Gene Sparrow. Like definitely got to salute Sundance. Cannot forget about Sundance. Lady Red. I love to listen to Lady Red on Soul 106 and everything. And so let me shout them out too.
Mm-hmm. So when you listening to these other stations and other personality, is it pure like for entertainment purposes, or are you taking notes? Are you like, maybe we could do this up at Fusion, or we could do this at the digital show, or do you look at it like that, or is it just for entertainment purposes?
I like to hear people for entertainment purposes, man, or whatsoever, and just see, like, man, how do the inner workings of their show, man? Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I mentioned Jonesy when we started this question. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I did not really get a chance to listen to Jonesy on a regular basis when she was on Hot 97 and back in the day. And she was someone who, different people wanted to say in media brought a lot of controversy, but a lot of ratings came through that station and everything. But and listening to her on the block, man, or whatsoever, she has some great stories that she can connect with the listeners from back in the day, and she does great interviews. And for her just to be solo, does she have her board op slash producer in there? Yes, but to be a solo female show and be able to command the attention that she does, I can see why. Back in the day, she was definitely a beast when it came
Mm-hmm.
down to it. Not to mention, man, you know what is okay? So I'm mentioning terrestrial, but I can't leave out the fact that there's so many other dope independent shows, dope podcasts like yours that I check out, man. And sometimes we share the same guests, whatsoever, which I love that because I'm sure you're gonna bring something different that I bring when I had them on Fusion. And so, man, I'm just a fan, man, of people and what they do. And I'm always encouraging them to step out and utilize them ideas that they have and everything. And then I discovered that there's a platform called Dash Radio where they have like so many unlimited different stations you can listen to. And so one of my favorite stations to listen to is the Boom Bap hip hop station.
Mm-hmm.
I love that station, man. The Tribe Called Quests and the Q-Tips and those type of artists, Dilated Peoples. I like to listen to go back and listen to that good underground hip hop.
Mm-hmm. For sure, for sure. I want to ask you this, you know what I'm saying? In some mediums, you will hear like people say like radio is slowly dying. But from my research, I hear and see things like the best way to get heard is on radio. So in your opinion, since you've been involved in so long, would you say the trajectory is rising, staying the same, going down on radio?
I think what we've got to do a better job on terrestrial radio, honestly, is finding a way to tap into the interests of the youth. That's the one thing with Fusion over the years that I can honestly say that I've done, and that if I was ever in a position to actually run a station, I would definitely tap into that youth movement, and definitely have their ideas. I feel like sometimes that's where it's lost is the transition as far as what do you have for them. Like I remember when I was growing up, man, your 6 to 10 in the evening slot was the slot that was like focused on the youth. You had prizes, you had different things that was youth oriented. And I feel like with the industry is there's different stations that want to try different stuff, but the quote unquote industry says no, that's not what we should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And
For
I feel like that it's a struggle for me because I'm a personality, so I like to hear fun, topical stuff and interaction with the listeners. And I feel like outside of morning drive, for the most part, you don't get that. You know, if you're listening to even a syndicated show like a Ricky Smiley and all that stuff or whatsoever, it's just pretty much music intensive, and some stations just have you reading the same liners over and over and over and over again. And
mm-hmm.
it's just like it's more to radio than that. Like being in the community and doing different things, and that's the one thing is that I feel like that's lacking. You know, now if it's a syndicated show in your afternoon or your middays, it's different. Like I was listening earlier today to Angela Yee's show, Way Up with Angela Yee, and you hear, you know, different topical stuff, different stuff that's going on. But if she wasn't there, would the person that's locally be able to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And that's my struggle is there's some very talented people that are local in your market that they just don't get that chance. And so some people think they boring and they don't bring nothing to the table. And it's like, no, there's a lot they bring to the table, but they're sort of stifled as to what they can do.
Mm-hmm. For sure. One of the questions that I want to ask you, with you guys being partnered with the school, and I still think that's a dope, you know what I'm saying? Them giving 10% to the community. Do they give you guys like a list of things you can't say, can't do? Is it do you guys get fined for cursing? Like how does it work? You know what I'm saying? Having that school as the overall overhead. Does it ever hinder like you guys' creation or anything like that?
I don't feel like it hinders our creation. The rules that we're following, honestly, are the same rules that you would follow if you were working for one of the major companies, and that's that, you know, no cursing in the music, no cursing in the conversation, because it's an FM license frequency, educational frequency. We actually got a little joke. I'm sharing a little joke with you that we do on the show. Is we recognize some people who see the studio, they get very comfortable and they think, oh man, you know, whatsoever, it's on the end of the down, they ain't gonna know anything or whatsoever. So our little joke, and I'm talking fast just in case you got some other things you want to say. I don't want to be talking slow and drag the conversation. Is what I say to people is you know how you go in the studio and you do your radio edits or whatsoever? Radio edit yourself during this conversation. And what we're gonna use the precursor is if you say something that might be a little bit alarming or weird out of the conversation, we understand you really want to say something else. So, for example, you really want to say the N word. When you feel the need to say that, just substitute that with ninja. You know that
Mm-hmm.
ninja.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So, yeah, for
Or,
sure.
you know, you might feel the word to say the B, and you be like, "Oh, bonkers" or something like that. Well, understand?
Ah. So, but I know people still, you be like, don't cuss. I know people still get on the mic and say, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? What happens after that?
Delay. We do have a delay system that dumps words. I believe we're on a 7 second delay,
Okay.
at least minimum 7 seconds. So all stations for the most part do have a delay to catch it. But the thing is, we also want to be respectful to the fact that I know people laugh at this. We want to be respectful to the fact that we do have students that pass by, even though they grown. We know they cuss, they do different things, but you
Mm-hmm.
know, we still supposed to be, you know, you know, uh, represent the station in the most positive light.
Mm-hmm. Are you guys tapped in with the artists that are students that are campus, like the local artists? Like, are you guys tapped in with them, or is that something that you guys are working on?
That's something that we're working on. But what I can say is, and it's just so much information to share on this. So for those of you that's watching or watch this later, just know that, you know, I'm trying to be respectful and not ramble and all that stuff. But I can tell you regarding that question is this year. I told you earlier in the conversation that I celebrated 20 years of graduating from Columbia College, Chicago. So I got a chance to be a part of something that I've been advocating, and I need everybody that it will be watching this to definitely get in tune with this. Columbia has something called Manifest. It's a big urban arts festival. And I'm telling you about it because back in May of 2023, I got a chance to actually interview a ton of artists that in return was played on the radio show. Because, of course, we couldn't do a remote and all that stuff. And so we did tap into a bunch of different artists with the subtopic Manna Fresh. So what it is anybody that's an artist, or so I need you to follow Manna Fresh on Instagram and be checking back with them for when they're doing auditions, and you get a chance to perform at the festival. You don't have to be a student of Columbia College Chicago, and it's a really dope. You don't get paid for it, but it's a dope experience as far as networking because you've got all the major and independent media down there that you can network with and build. And the students are being graded on the stage, your sound presence, because both of those are majors at Columbia. And so got a chance to be a part of that. Red Bull was the sponsor for the hip hop stage, which I was a part of, and we have free food. And so all you do is RSVP. It's free. You can invite as many people as you want. All they have to do is RSVP. It's free, and you come down and enjoy it. It's the second Friday in May, and it's at all their different campuses. The main stage would be if, yes, say you're riding a red line when you get off on the Harrison spot and you walk up a block, that parking lot that you see, that's they take over. Columbia College Chicago takes over that parking lot. And everywhere where they have campuses, there's something major related as far as this festival. And so the hip hop stage was two doors down from the 623 South Wabash building. And that's where all the people that's like producers, you name it, the media field, artists, they all hang out there. And so that's where we're at.
Mm-hmm. Okay, for sure. I'll make sure to add any information to that in the description for anybody who interested and want to get involved with that. That sounds dope. I might have to. I might. We're gonna talk, but what I want to ask you before I lose my train of thought. um, I want to ask you, we talked about like the other radio stations that you listen to, you know what I'm saying? But in the field that we're in, I call it like the underground media. Like they got underground rappers. Well, I consider myself like underground media. But
Mm-hmm.
like when you look amongst your peers, you know what I'm saying? And I know that you real tight with Felice, and you can use an example and just use how you guys met and stuff like that. But what's it like amongst your peers, like when you look out on the landscape of people who do what you do on this level?
Man, when I look at months, I'm super proud. When I tell you that I met Felice through an artist by the name of Amio, and she still manages him. And to see what Felice has done with Determined Radio, her and Stacy, we recently had them on Fusion back in November to celebrate their anniversary and everything, man. Like, I'm super proud, man. Like, you guys don't know, including yourself, man. Like, what you guys do and the magnitude of professionalism that you bring to the table. Like, I know a lot of you might feel like you haven't been doing it in a while. Like, am I really connecting? And trust me when I tell you this, and I have to share this with Felice and I'm share this with you is, in all these major platforms, there's somebody that's paying attention to what you guys are doing, that watches what you do on a regular basis. That, man, the professionalism that you bring to the interview, you're the one that they say, man, I watch such and such. They've been trying to get on our platform for whatever. They had a great interview, man. Maybe we should give them a chance. And so you guys are the ones that, and it's like, what I love about where technology has come is it's allowed for people. that are not necessarily radio or whatever to explore different things. And I'm not saying that you got to have a degree in radio to do it. There are some people that have had some great ideas that I think uh, for some reason they thought like, man, okay, is people gonna rock with that or or whatsoever. I don't know about this. And then, they just needed a little bit of encouragement to birth the idea that they had.
Hmm. For sure. If I'm not mistaken, don't you guys also like collaborate on showcases?
Man, what I more or less do is share showcases.
Okay.
So the thing is with me being busy, with Keith being busy and all that stuff, trying to do a showcase. I'm a person that wants to do stuff and all these other people that's doing stuff and what's up, big up them. Share their stuff.
Hmm.
And it's like if it works out for you to perform, like I think the thing that Columbia is doing, I can't believe that Columbia has been doing that for as long as they're doing that, and there's no other college that does a festival like that. That's crazy. Like all these years, I look at what they're doing with from the Go Fest. That happens in July, the last Saturday in July, and that's a dope platform that major and independent media is at that gives you dope exposure. So there's a lot of different people that are out here doing a lot of showcases that I look at this as an opportunity to share their showcases with other people.
Hmm. For sure. So in media, you know what I'm saying? You're also a public figure. You know what I'm saying? You not only on radio do you have to watch what you say on radio, but are you conscious of what you say on social media or what you might write or post or something like that? Because you know what I'm saying, you still are connected to other radios and the school and stuff like that. Does that control how you um approach social media outside of radio, outside of work?
I would say so, absolutely, because you're always representing certain brands, and it's like I have a lot of people that I'm a mentor to that's young that I try my best to be the best role model that I can to them.
Hmm. For sure. All right, man. I got a couple more questions and I'm gonna let you get up out of here, man. A thing that I experience and I hate and it grinds my gears, man. How do you deal with a situation you schedule, like you said, you booked up until March, May? You know what I'm saying? What do you do when March 1st comes and you got this interview booked and they don't show up? They don't call, they don't text. Well, how do you handle that moving forward?
That happens a lot. Actually, more than people believe. I think with Fusion is I always have some different things that we can slide in that slide. I think too is sometimes what happens is some of the guests show up late, so you guys don't know it. So it sort of alters our schedule and the fact, and it's never really an issue, because of that. There are times where, like just recently, me and Keith had a time where there was a guest that didn't end up showing up. That we used that time to just talk about some different things that were on our minds. And one of them was a segment that I shared. And it sparked another radio show that they were paying attention to this to take this topic.
Mm,
And so, what the topic was, just to be brief, is I listened to different morning shows. As I told you, one of the morning shows I listened to is Young Jock and the Streets Morning Takeover out of Atlanta. And it's a really fun show. They have a lot of fun. And I truly do learn a lot on that show. And they have a segment called Date Dilemma. And so this was the date dilemma is this woman called in and she needed the radio station's help in the fact of she felt like her man had ghosted her.
hmm.
And so she says she don't know what happened. All she knows is he not responding to calls and everything. And bottom line, all she remembers is she sent him to Firestone to have her car serviced and everything. But what she failed to mention, and I'm getting ready to get to that, is that she set her man up for a bad situation. They get the guy on the phone, and the guy says, well, the reason why I haven't been talking to her is because she sent me to Firestone to have her car serviced, but she didn't tell me that the technician was her ex. So I get to the Firestone, I pull up, I get out, and the guys confront me like, "What are you doing in my ex's car?" I know her license plate, I know all that stuff, and he's like, "Your ex? Like, what are you talking about? This is my girl." And so, uh, he didn't know all this time when she was going to the Firestone. She was still seeing her ex on a regular basis. I quote unquote, there was nothing happening there but him servicing the car. And he was like, well, how do I know that? How do I know y'all ain't been connecting and all that stuff? And so she was like, you making a big deal out of nothing. And so ultimately what ended up happening is she didn't see the side of what could have possibly happened between them two, the danger she could have put them in. She didn't see that. And so if you decide to go on a date to sort of make up or work on a situation, the radio station is willing to pay $100 towards. Well, he didn't want to be with her no more. Because he felt like if you put me in that type of situation, why would I want to be with you? You ain't looking out for me.
Right.
And so that birthed one of the radio shows on one of the stations I work for to do that as a topic. She was beyond mad. She was like, you know, they always talking about the guys and the guys doing wrong, but they don't talk about when females do wrong. And I didn't know that me discussing that during that little filler time, that would turn into a topic for her radio show for 3 weeks. She had a whole panel and everybody. And she was like, I want to collab with you on like, and it was really something because even the guys, they was mad. And they was like, what? And I had no idea.
That's definitely one of them topics that you can get it going with, man. Let me ask you about this, man. While y'all up in that state of the art studio, man, I want to know, y'all gotta have rules, man. Like, what's the rules? You gotta take your shoes off. Is it no eating, no smoking? What's no chewing gum? What's the rules of the studio, man?
All right, so man, like, you know, it ain't take your shoes off, of course, because they want you to keep your shoes off. But of course, they don't want you smoking in the studio. They don't want you, you know, eating in the studio. We do have a lounge area where, you know, you go out there and do that or whatsoever. But no, they don't want you. They don't want you, definitely don't want you smoke. And it's funny because there's been some different people that have asked, like, man, can I drink in here? Like, no, I mean, you're not supposed to have the Crown Royal bottle or the Hennessy bottle.
Oh man, because I'm telling you, man, when you just see, that's what I say. I can't wait till I come because I'm bringing my camera for sure. It just, you know, I'm pretty sure a lot of artists, even when you mention like a lot of artists was on the brink of giving up till they came up there, because it's like, I can see pinching up, it's like I made it, shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and I remember I probably discovered fusion around the time when it probably wasn't that first L Hiller interview, but you probably interviewed him again between now and then. That's probably when I first saw you. But it looked like the energy in that one was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember like the room was filled. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
it's more than just having a show. You know what I'm saying? You got to have a personality. You got to be somebody that once they leave experience infusion, that people are saying good things about you. You know what I'm saying? So that shows, you know what I'm saying, to the work that you guys are doing, man. And like I said, just give you guys y'all flowers again while y'all still here and doing what y'all doing, man. Keep doing it, y'all making a mark, you know what I'm saying, and it's not in vain, you know what I'm saying. People are saying good things about y'all. What they're like, we say y'all name good in these streets, man.
Well, I definitely appreciate it, man. And I want to invite anybody that would like to be on Fusion, man. Definitely, man, tap in with the IG page, Fusion Radio 08, man. And definitely, man, me and Keith definitely respond back.
For sure, man. I appreciate your time. If there's anything else you want the people to know, anything else you want people to know, the floor is yours. And like I said, I appreciate your time. I'm gonna let you have it, and we're gonna get up out of here.
Well, man, everything people need to know is at Fusion Radio 08 on IG, man. If you want to tap in and catch on some previous interviews, man, the links are in the bio, man, where you can go and tap into that, man. Thank you, brother, again, man, for this time, man. And
Always.
thank you for the awesome job that you do with your podcast, man. Continued success.
For sure, for sure. Thank you, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. In a minute.
All right, bro.
Gang.